echoing cuckoo clock has called, and he sounds a little sad because he's calling us back for the last chapter and welcoming us back to Kids Book Read Aloud, S.C. Crovo, Magic of Nicholas. Welcome. I'm S.C. Crovo. I'm the author and writer and creator of those magical families of Nicholas. Now, we're on our last chapter of Masters of Nicholas in Target Earth. And I'm really looking forward to this chapter, and we're going to have an exciting time with it. But it is the last chapter, but don't worry, because this channel is going to continue with even more stories about the magical families of Nicholas. But let's get started right now with chapter 7. So I need my dolly right here with the key, because she is the keeper of the key. Thank you, Dolly. So let's get this key unraveled here. Let me have a little magic. We've got our book, Masters of Nicholas and Target Earth, and our special book cover. So let's get started for our last chapter. Can you believe we're on our last chapter? Our last chapter is titled A New Nicholas World. The Nicholas village, tucked inside a fortress of jagged, icy mountains, had been the home of the Nicholas family since they arrived on Earth. But the village was getting crowded and the cold weather even colder. So it was agreed, though not all happily, that a new Nicholas world would be created. Sankelves, as it was named, would be constructed inside a mysterious mountain with the help of the Kelves. Santa Nicholas stood before the great gray mountain with his feet buried knee-deep in snow. Ice crystals attached to his brow as his eyes rose, searching for the top of the mountain, which had disappeared in the swirling clouds above. I wonder, Santa leaned towards his Kelv, Quill. Did I make the right decision? You said the families were outgrowing the Nicholas village, Quill answered while hopping from foot to keep warm. Of course you made the right decision. The Kelves won't let you down. But Quill was worried. Where were they? As if hearing Quill's request, two figures emerged from a small opening in the mountain, hurried in their direction, and stopped abruptly before Santa and Quill. I'm your engineer, the first Kelv said gruffly. He was rather large in height and width for a Kelv. His red, bushy eyebrows formed one scraggly line above his eyes, and his square shape seemed ready to root like a tree. I'm Celt, and this is... I'm Colette, the other Kelv interrupted, your frozen designer. Her voice barely made it through the layers of multicolored scarves that wrapped her entire face, except for her glaring reddish eyes. What a horrible location. It's not so bad. Celt pulled an oversized Kelcom from his coat pocket. What you have here is a mountain. We know that, Colette hissed and rolled her eyes. Celt ignored the comment and continued. He tapped repeatedly on the screen of his Kelcom, brushed the gathering ice crystals aside, and turned the image towards Santa Nicholas. The interior of the mountain has been scanned and cleared for, living things. We're all clear except for this. He sniffled and directed his large gloved hand to a dark spot on the screen. It won't scan. What happens then? Quill wondered aloud. He was trying to be helpful as Santa hadn't uttered a word yet. We leave it alone, Celt replied. He sniffled again and tapped a few more times on the screen. So what's left is a nice-sized rock to be emptied, fortified, and readied for construction. How long will that take? Santa rubbed his frozen beard. This could take years. It's done, Celt smiled broadly. Colette rolled her eyes again as a puff of exasperated frozen breath made its way through the scarves. Can we go in now before we all freeze to death? The small group followed Celt as he led his way to the entrance into the mountain. The opening was a tight squeeze as they bent and shuffled through. Reaching the interior, Santa slowly rose from his crumpled position, straightened, and stared with wonder. The inside of the mountain was enormous. The hollowed rock rose and spread beyond sight, and the walls glistened with a sparkling golden glow. Why is it so bright in here? Santa asked, taking a few steps forward. Indeed, it appeared almost sunny. Are there windows of some kind I can't see? Celt removed his hat and roughly scratched his disheveled red hair. Walls are coated in Kelves star dust. Light from it won't last forever, but long enough for construction and to get the Kelves star up and running. Now, he folded his arms and offered a crooked stare. What you have here is a nice-sized rock. What are your plans? Plans? Santa stuttered. He slapped his gloved hand to his forehead and spun slowly like a top. I don't have any plans. I'll take over from here, Celt. Colette brushed past her engineer companion and headed straight for Santa Nicholas. Planting her feet in front of him, she flung the colorful scarves away from her face. They landed attached as a rainbow-colored cape behind her back. Her red hair clung to her head in a wavy and unyielding scalloped pattern. Exterior first. She placed her hand confidently on Santa's shoulder after adjusting her height slightly taller. I'm thinking bold. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she swirled her other arm like a painter's brush. You want the Sankelves to stand out. Metallic silver should do nicely. She joined her hands, placed her pointer finger to her lips, and waited. Paint the outside of the mountain? Santa didn't even pause to think. No, I thought we'd keep the outside as it is. Don't you agree, Queel? Queel barely nodded. He knew Colette, and he didn't want to get on her bad side. Ugly, gray, rock. That's your plan for the exterior? Colette's shoulders dropped as Santa nodded. Told ya, Celt chuckled. He wouldn't want no metallic monstrosity. There's one thing we must have, Santa said firmly. He gained his footing and walked confidently forward. We must have a greeting chamber where everyone will be welcomed, and this must be planted in the center. The small group joined Santa where he stood. Slowly he opened his tightly closed hand and revealed a seed. A plant? Colette looked down unimpressed at the tiny seed. You want to grow a plant? This isn't the seed of an ordinary plant, Santa's eyes twinkled. This is the seed of a snow noble fir tree, and it will be planted right here, he finished, directing his hand to the ground below. Well, Colette sighed, it's a start. Now, she clapped her hands together sharply. Let's get started, shall we? This Sankelves won't build itself. Hundreds of Nicholases from all of the magical families stood together in the splendor of the greeting chamber of Sankelves. Level upon level rose around them, accessed by strange circular tubes that appeared to float and move from floor to floor. Colorful tapestries with images of the Nicholas history hung 2 stories tall from the polished stone walls. Tables filled with all manner of items and food rested on floors that shimmered like crystal. Plants and blossoming bushes nestled in an array of pots flourished in the sunny interior. The seedling of the snow noble fir, almost 2 feet tall already, was growing in a circle of stones in the center of the chamber as promised. Visiting Kelves played merry flute music as Santa Nicholas welcomed each and every Nicholas. Welcome, families, to our new home, Santa shouted loud and proud. And a special thank you to our Kelv companions who helped construct this wonder. Engineer Kelt and designer Colette. Kelt bobbed his head modestly while Colette made a grand swirl with another array of scarves, creating a kaleidoscope of color behind her. The crowd clapped modestly. They were shocked by their new surroundings and didn't know what to think. In fact, they seemed stuck together in a huddle. Santa had spoken to them about the move, but nothing could have prepared them for this. The humble cottages were nowhere to be found, and they couldn't imagine living inside a mountain, no matter how bright and inviting. "What do you think?" Santa spread his arms wide and bobbed his head with encouragement. "It's big," one of the younger wide-eyed Nicholases shouted out. "It is that," one of the older Nicholases agreed. "What will we do here?" "Do?" Santa Nicholas weaved in and out of the standing crowd. "We can do anything our magic and imagination can create." He swept his arms in all directions. "We will grow things, build things, bake things, and invent things. There is no limit, and now we have all the space we need and are protected from the weather. Do you see those tables?" The confused Nicholases turned together like a wheel and stared blankly. "They are filled with things we can make. In fact," Santa Nicholas patted Quill's shoulder, "there are even sign-up sheets for all of these creations. It was Quill's suggestion, and the Kelves will be staying to help too." "But Santa Nicholas," one of the Nicholases called out, "what will happen to our village?" All of the Nicholases uttered their concerns, from the youngest to the oldest, and it moved them to action. They crowded around Santa Nicholas, and the little ones tugged at his sleeve. Would they ever see the Nicholas village again? "Amela and her friends will stay in the village to keep watch, and the protective spell will remain in place," Santa spoke calmly as the group quieted. "The Nicholas village will always be part of our world and remains the source of our magic. The Yulseer has been moved here to the throne room." He pointed his finger to an unseen place above their heads. "I will keep watch over all our worlds, and any Nicholas can visit the village, but our new home is here. Now please, there is so much to see, but first explore our greeting chamber and take a look at the tables." Santa shooed the slowly shuffling Nicholases. "New experiences and creations await." "Come on, Cam." A young Nicholas grabbed the young Kelv next to him and pulled him towards the tables. "Talking is for old Nicholases. Let's have some fun. I'm with you, Tommy. Hey, that looks familiar." Cam pulled Tommy towards a table that caught his eye. Tiers and tiers of colorful hooks hung from racks rising from the base of the table. Tommy took one from the bottom and watched as the line shifted and refilled. "What are these, ornaments or something?" Cam took one himself, and to Tommy's amazement, took a bite. "It's not an ornament," Cam said, taking another bite. "It's Kelv candy. We eat lots of candy. Well, lots of sugar, that is." "It looks like a cane to hang on a tree to me." Tommy eyed the object in his hand, unconvinced. "It's candy, really, a candy cane. Take a taste." Tommy trusted his Kelv friend. Many Nicholases had made friends with a Kelv and formed strong bonds. Tommy and Cam had been friends for over 5 Earth years, which in Nicholas and Kelv years was not long, but long enough. Tommy raised the Kelv candy cane to his lips, closed his eyes, and gave it a quick taste. It took but an instant for his eyes to open wide and a smile to cross his lips. "It is candy." "I told you," Cam laughed and took another candy cane. Santa joined the two boys and placed his hands on their shoulders. He was happy to see the two enjoying themselves because there was still a lot of convincing to do with the rest of the Nicholases. "What do you think of our new home?" "These are great." Tommy held up the candy cane to show Santa. "What else can we do?" "Anything and everything." Santa chuckled and then lowered his voice. "But there is one thing we must do." Boys moved closer to Santa. "What?" they whispered in unison. "Make toys," Santa nodded. We will learn much and discover more, but we must always remember he tapped his finger to the side of his head to make toys. And that's the end of our story, Masters of Nicholas and Target Earth, Novella 1. Well, I say it's the end, but not quite yet. Because every time that I write a book in this novella series, there will be a bonus story in the book. Now, this bonus story is titled The Lost Nicholas Tale, and it begins like this. Remember the Nicholas who became lost and alone after the spell on the Nicholas village? You know who he is now, but read about his story and his adventure. Now, this bonus story you can enjoy when you get your own copy of Masters of Nicholas and Target Earth. And you can either get it in softback or in Kindle. So that's something for you to be able to enjoy in the future. So, what happens next? What happens next on Kids' Book Read Aloud, S.C. Crovo, Magic of Nicholas? Now, every week I've been mentioning to you about visiting my website at sccrovo.com and about joining the free Magical Nicholas Short Story Club and more. So, next week I am going to read one of the stories from the club. Now, every time that I release either a novella or a book, I add 3 new short stories to the Magical Nicholas Short Story Club and more. So right now, because there are 2 books out, we have 2, Masters of Nicholas and Target Earth. This is novella 1, and Benjamin Nicholas and the Golden Key. This is book 1. There are now 6 short stories available that you can have delivered to your email when you join the free club, Magical Nicholas Short Story Club and more. So next week, I'm going to read one of the stories that I added that has to do with the Masters of Nicholas and Target Earth. I haven't decided which one yet because they're all really good and I haven't made up my mind yet. So this chapter, of course, you met Tommy and Cam. Tommy and Cam's adventures will continue, and you'll also hear more about them in the story next week. So Kids' Book Read Aloud. This book may be over, but the story will continue, and the stories of the magical Nicholases will continue. So I hope you're really enjoying the show. If you are, please leave me a thumbs up. And please subscribe to Kids Book Read Aloud, S.C. Crovo, Magic of Nicholas. And until the cuckoo calls again, next week, when it'll be time again for us to read together. Until then, make a wish and have a magical week. Bye for now.